it's time for another must read. It's been a while since I gave you guys a must read. And this one's from a webtoon. A webtoon that was actually based off a graphic light novel, or just novel series, I can't recall, from since 1999 that recently turned into a webtoon. And it's called Karsearin, Adventures of a Red Dragon. Now, this one is created by a guy that calls himself YKB. I kid you not, that's what he calls himself, YKB. And they created this novel all the way back in 1999. And YKB looked at the fantasy novels and thought, like many others did, what if the adventures were more realistic to what happened? How can, because everyone takes Tolkien's work and sees an inspiration of the younglings being off the forces of evil, defying the odds, doing the impossible, the hero's story, the tale. But some people looked at it and says, what if it was realistic? What if it was actually taking a place? It still had magic and fantasy, but it still had the reality of the cruelness of the world, especially during that time of what happened. Where the nobles were corrupted, the kings were out of control, people with magic weren't always kept under check because they had magic, so they'll be out there doing what they want. But still give it into the hands of an innocent being. Now, Karsearin, aka Aaron, is a dragon who is the first one to ever run away from home. He turns himself into a human and embarks on a journey where he wishes to become an adventurer. But already off the get-go, things aren't starting well for him. Being chased by orcs, being sold, being even disguising himself as a princess. Seems like wacky adventures, but as the chapters run along, terrible things start to happen. Kingdoms start getting attacked. I mean, literally destroyed off the face of the earth. And this is before the dragons even interfere within the story. Terrible things happen to people. Also, this is literally like Game of Thrones in my opinion, but Game of Thrones in my opinion was better written because some point you'll fall in love with certain characters, you'll like certain characters, but as time goes on, they might be corrupted or they might just die or some might just die and come back corrupted. There's always different kind of twists and turns happening within the story. As Karsearin is just trying to find a simple life of becoming an adventurer, he is realizing that he probably left the nest too soon, which as the other dragons say that happened. In this world, everyone sees dragons as almighty creatures that pretty much can do anything and they're extremely wise and powerful. They are powerful and wise, but sometimes they're just like you and me. They'll forget things, they'll mess things up, but since they're so powerful, no one really questions their authority or their moves, thinking they're doing everything in this mystical, magical, divine way that has a purpose. But most of the times, they accidentally screwed up. And with dragons already learning about magic, everything's easy for them. Now, the thing about the dragons is throughout history, and even in stories, is that dragons were always this thing that defied the almighty being from up above all the time. They're the ones who were strong enough to defy the god, and always challenging them all the time. I am getting offhand in the story, but it's that I am very fascinated with the premise and the perspective that the author had when it comes to writing a medieval fantasy with magic. You know, they didn't want to go the way where the heroes won, and even if the heroes did win, it did really feel like they won. What did they have to sacrifice? What did they lose? And what did they have to gain in the middle of the journey? Cashin does join his own party as time goes on. He meets a noble boy who wants to become a hero, a swordsman with great vigor and honor. He meets a mage girl who wants to prove that she can be more than who she is. Then she meets a powerful mage queen and even an experimental Frankenstein, one will say, and even a priest boy. They all join forces going around the kingdoms, finding answers, just trying to survive out of the madness because they're quote unquote heroes party that's going around destroying kingdoms after kingdoms. Why are they doing this? You'll have to figure it out. But either way, it is a very interesting story that I found myself captivated with. I love it so much that I start going on Fast Pass. For a while, until it stopped, and then I started reading it weekly by weekly because I didn't want to devour it immediately. I wanted to savor the story. It was really good. Some will have mixed feelings about the art style. I like the art direction inside the story. It's not that well detailed, but it has some interesting 2D flat lines that I do enjoy with it. Now, with that being said, when I finally read the ending of the last chapters, oh man, my heart was all over the place, man. I didn't know what to do. I was just mixed emotions, like anger, frustrated, confused, like why? And then who won in the end and stuff. Like who won in the end, but at what cost? It's like you won, you got everything you ever wanted, but what was the point, man? You lost the very thing that made like you lost something that was so precious that if the childhood you were to see who you were today, they would be very disappointed and angry with you. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about the ending. However, after this bad taste in my mouth, which I did enjoy, they decided to. I found out that there is a sequel to this. Yeah, there's a sequel that takes place 1,000 years later into the future. Now, will they make this into a comic as well? I hope so, because it's that good. So it seems like, according to my friend at work, they are adapting tons of stories that are from a long ago, and they're turning it into comic formation, and down the line it'll become probably an animated series. Probably. Who knows? Who can say? But either way, I'm looking forward to seeing what else they're going to do because that was good. I enjoyed this story very much. Seeing Karsearin and how this innocent dragon who just wanted to be an adventurer can be befriended, betrayed, used, sold, attacked, all these things. But despite everything, he still keeps his innocence as he lives in his dream. And you'll know what that means as you read the comic as time goes on. But either way, I had myself a good time reading this, and I look forward to more. And hopefully, they do the sequel as well. I haven't read a sequel, I've only read a synopsis because I can't get my hands on it for some reason. I just can't. But I will look some way to find it. With that being said, I'll end the video here. I hope you guys enjoy it and you guys give this story a try. It's very good. That being said, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. Just have the background on anime. Signing out.